Hey everyone, Siam here. So as you've probably seen, stimulus is crazy throughout the world. Everyone's printing currency, getting into debt, and I saw an interesting question the other day, which was this. Why am I still paying tax if the government can just print all of this money out of thin air? So that's what we're going to go through. So basically there are two really quick answers: sovereign income stream and control. So if we have a quick look at the income stream, basically most countries, it's their only income stream. Unless you're a country which can export stuff like China, they export everything, or you're like Norway, or and you can export oil. Most countries, their only income stream is tax revenue from its citizens. So declining tax revenue equals a whole bunch of bad things. So declining service maintenance. So for us in the UK, NHS, pensions, the military, the police, nurses, all that sort of stuff. And in parallel, all of these things, now not necessarily all at the same time, but they're pretty much in parallel. So declining GDP, declining stock market, declining employment levels. Civil servants are a big bunch of the workforce in most countries as well, and they're some of the first ones to get chopped. Increased prices for stuff because everything falling, some things go up in price. But ultimately, the main reason why we still have to pay tax is because if our tax revenue declines, the country struggles to fill its debt obligations. So this is why it's really important that you watch. So if you go to my YouTube channel, and then I would highly recommend watching why the global financial Ponzi system is a Ponzi, etc. That one, the bigger market crash, and also who do we all owe all this debt to. So those three videos explain this a little bit in more detail. But long story short, when a country effectively prints more currency, it's not free. They don't just pluck it out of their arse and it's free. That's where they're aiming to get to, but at the moment, whenever a country creates more currency, all they're doing is they're getting into debt. So the UK government has basically done almost £500 billion worth of stimulus in the last few months. Well, guess what? That's debt. They haven't plucked it out of their arse for free. Which means we have to pay taxes so the country can fulfill its debt obligations. So that's just a really quick answer why. And then this leads us to the next bit, the control mechanism. So ultimately, this has been here for a long time, but there's a negative incentive for us to pay tax, because if we don't pay tax, bad things happen. We go to jail, we get fined, blah blah blah. But ultimately, when you look at countries that eventually break down, there is a risk to reward seesaw. When this seesaw actually gets completely out of kilter, and that all of a sudden it's best to be not pay your taxes and the reward is better, that's when you see revolts. Okay. So the best example of this, I completely pulls up this excuse. A good example is the 40% food ratio. So throughout history, for thousands of years, typically every time a country experiences heartache, austerity, etc., and the average family, or the average, what am I drawing here? The average family has to spend 40% of their income on food. Guess what happens? Revolt. So when a country gets to this sort of level and they have, nearly half their money is going on just on food, that's when you have uprising, because things are that bad. The public go, oh, Jesus Christ, it's already that bad. It can't get any worse if we, have a riot, an uprising, civil war, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, so that's basically really quick answer to why we're still paying tax. Long story short, our respective governments, if you're in the US or the UK, they keep going to Wonga.com or other lending sharks and getting into debt, and they're struggling to repay their minimum interest only repayments. Simple as that. And check this out, things are dire. I still come across people that think that we're going back to normal. We're not going back to normal. Look at this. This is the same in every country in the world, but this is the USdebtclock.org. You can see that national debt is spiraling upwards, and guess what? US GDP is going down. And why is US GDP going down? I mean, look at the tax revenue. US tax revenue is going down. This is not good. This is effectively a country losing their job. So yeah, brace for impact.